So I had the pleasure of interviewing Mike Parsons, the current leader of data and analytics at Air New Zealand. And we talked about how to make data and analytics a competitive advantage for your organization. And really, his insights and tips are relevant for any industry. Mike's background is super interesting. So before Air New Zealand, he worked at a consultancy in New Zealand across almost every industry. And before that, he actually ran a couple of private businesses and used data and analytics to really turn them around. So Mike and I both agree that the hardest part about getting value out of data and analytics is actually about change management. And so in the following clip, Mike gives us some great tips on how to actually extract value and make change happen.
And so if I had a lesson that I've learned, it's give people faster data first. Don't give them new data. Because when you give them new data and insights, they have to change the way they're doing things. And there's a lot of times when you look at a business process and you say, wow, we should really re-engineer this process and it could be so much more efficient and everything. And look, that's still your end game. But if you start there, then you're showing up and saying kind of, hey, the way that you're used to doing things, it's no good. We need to rip it up. We need to get you to totally change how you're doing stuff. And those people who are doing those jobs, they might quite believe in what they're doing and they're used to it. And, they kind of, or even if they don't believe in it, they're nervous about the implication of changing that thing, right? So, but what is less threatening is saying, hey, we're going to allow you to do what you're doing now, but you can do it faster. So it's, better access to the data you need, or tying it together, or, hey, that process that you use when you get your report and you always hit those filters and do those things and look for those things. We're just going to take that. We're just going to write a query directly against the database. And then when that thing happens that you look for every morning, it's just going to automatically alert you. So you don't have to do that anymore. We're going to save you that work. And what that does is it builds a lot of trust, because people say, oh, actually, that was good for me. That was something that, my world got better because you did that thing. And then they're much more open to the new conversations. Does it take longer? Yeah, it does. Is it as efficient as it could be in getting to the end game? No. But this goes back to what I was saying before about enabling framework and focusing on the benefits, is that ultimately it's not the elegance of the technical solution, it's the change management that's required to get the benefits. And that involves people. And analytics, can forget that quite easily. I remember I was working with a supermarket chain, and I was producing with a team these amazing category insights. Like, this is how, if you change, the number of the way you order even silly things like the number of rolls of toilet paper that are in the packs, or if you reduce the number of products in the cereal aisle, or if you don't cut those craft beers, because even though they don't sell a heap, they're actually your most valuable customers that are buying those. And if you cut them, then they're going to go elsewhere. I thought these were gold insights. They were just amazing, and they were going to make so much money off it. And you know what the category manager said to me? I don't care about that. Because what I do is I go ring all my suppliers and I say, what's the best deal you can give me? And then whoever gives me the best deal, I take it, and that's what we buy. And I was like, but do you know that? And they were like, I don't care. I'm just not interested in changing the way I do this. I've been doing it the same way for 20 years. It's actually working pretty well. Everybody says I'm doing a good job. What's your problem, Mike? So, I was coming at it with all this genius.
So what did you do?
What did I do? In that particular instance, I gave up with some of them, to be honest. But what I did do is I managed to find a category manager in a smaller one of the brands who was quite interested in understanding those things, because they had a growth category. And I also got some traction with the private label, the own brands, because the own brands were less about the suppliers and more about saying, well, I want to know what's my next own brand that I'm going to try to put out there. And then when we got some traction in those areas, Then you had internal advocates, right? Then you had people who were getting good results, and other people were kind of like, oh, why are you getting those results? You know, same thing within the stores. Actually, we were looking at it and going, well, we were doing store clustering, and we were kind of saying, well, hey, here's other stores that are quite similar to you, and they sell those products that like really well, and you don't have anything that's substitutable, like you don't have anything similar. So we really think that the customers that you have are going to buy those things. And a lot of those store owners were just like, nah, I know my customers. They come in every day. I know Bob and Sarah and Jane, they come in every day. I know exactly what they want to order. I'm not changing. But then you had some kind of new blood, up and comer store owners who wanted to be eligible to get into bigger stores, and they were like, how can I? Okay, that's interesting. I'll give it a try, and I'll start small and I'll give it a try. And they were getting great results. And then of course on all the scorecards, when you sort of look at all the stores that are rocketing up the ranks, well, why is that happening? And then you get a little bit of FOMO or whatever, and then but I guess that might be a long-winded way of saying that the change management aspect is so important, and it doesn't actually matter what business you're in or what kind of analytics you're doing. If the people who are making the decisions and doing the things and responsible for the outcomes aren't buying into what you're doing, you're just never going to get anywhere.